Welcome to Content with Character, the weekly podcast that'll give you the momentum you need to create content with more ease, clarity, and laughter. I'm your host, content copywriter Emily Aborn, and I'm all about unconventional marketing approaches. I believe in your big ideas, and I'm excited to help you share them in a way that's distinctly you. Hi, welcome back to the Content with Character podcast. If you're following along with me in real time, you probably recall that last week we got into like a heavier-ish topic, let's call it. We talked about letting things go, shutting things down, saying goodbye, bye-bye, and wishing things well. In this week's episode, I thought maybe we should lighten up the mood a little bit and share some fun, perfect for summer ideas for unhacking your content creation. Really, all of your marketing. And what do I mean by the word unhack? I will explain in a moment, but first I think I want to tell you where the idea for this episode came from. And then we'll kind of get into what I think when I think of unhacking. So recently I went down this kind of entire mental rabbit hole and even went so far as taking a couple of steps to create a second podcast. My goal was like, okay, I'm gonna replace the She Built This podcast, the one that I'm letting go of. And I didn't actually, I was trying to kind of like finagle ways where I didn't actually have to let it go. Maybe I can just reinvent it. But if you recall last week, I realized after a lot of deliberation and thought that like in its current form, it just needs to be put to bed. It needs to be a period at the end of the sentence. And if I ever do start a second podcast again, which I'm not saying I won't, it will be a new, fresh, different. It's got to have its own life. Like it kind of has to be its own entity, its own thing. Like I said, more on that another time because, well, never say never. So one of the names, as I was going down this exploratory rabbit hole, one of the names I was considering renaming the show was Business Unhacked. And the reason that popped into my mind as a name is because, despite a lot of what I think that there is quite a bit of messaging out there that is counter this whole hacks and tricks and tips. And also, at the same time, people still love themselves some hacks and tips and tricks and shortcuts. So despite being told that hacks are not the ticket, people still, they love hacks. They love secret sauces. They want that quick path to success. In the health and wellness world, we see them everywhere. Hacks are alive and going strong. I don't know if you're familiar with the term biohack. Basically, it's stuff, some of it is no-brainer stuff like sticking your toes in the grass more often. And then some of it is a little bit more bold, like plunging yourself into a pool of freezing water. And then some of it is just outrageous, like spending 8 hours a day. That's an exaggeration, but spending all this time in your sensory deprivation tank that you somehow have magically in your home. Anyway, the list of biohacks and biohack options and ways to biohack your health goes on and on. And in entrepreneur land, we've got ourselves a little list too. We've got the algorithm hacks, the growth hacks, the networking hacks, productivity hacks, general life hacks. And now with ChatGPT and other AI generated content, to me, that is like leading the hack parade, right? With promises to quote unquote hack your content creation. Someone just shared with me the other day. She's like, I found the best hack. She claimed that, she sent me a page of something she had created. And she said, it's such a great hack. ChatGPT wrote this entire thing for me. Look how good it reflects my brand voice. Now, spoiler alert, I do not think that this was a good reflection of her brand voice. In fact, I think it sounded a whole lot like ChatGPT, and I think that it was laden with like useless jargon, like words that say a lot, but actually say nothing at all. Now, I will not share the details of this specific event, this page, to spare the innocent, but let's just say this isn't a hack, okay? There are not hacks to things like this. It is a long, consistent, relationship-based, authentic, and it's a bigger picture than I think a hack can really paint. A bigger picture than a hack can do justice for. So, a bigger journey than a hack can do justice for. So, okay, so we got that. That's like piece one. A podcaster I used to listen to did an episode last year, I think it was last year, where he was like sharing his podcaster specific biohacks. Now, he was talking about things podcasters can do in their health and wellness world to become better podcasters. I don't remember them all, but of course, cold plunging, you guessed it, was definitely one of them. I think another one I remember was that you shouldn't eat anything within 4 hours of a podcast interview or an episode. Now, I don't know about you, but I am a girl who sometimes needs myself a snack, and I cannot time everything perfectly in my life around podcast interviews and recordings and my eating schedule. So, sometimes you have an interview at 11 a.m. and you just ate breakfast. Sometimes you have an interview at 7 and you just ate dinner. Sometimes the spirit moves you and you record an episode right after you ate, which this is case in point. So if I should have fasted, you can reply and let me know. But I'm telling you what, sometimes you just need a piece of chocolate to survive your afternoon, and that just so happens to land you at the same time that you are showing up to a meeting or being on a podcast or being a guest. So pretty much all the biohacks were like this. Do this, don't do this. And in my experience of the episode, it was just sort of like these... It kind of missed the mark for me as a podcaster because it was a little bit of this bro marketing, unrealistic hacks that most people either can't actually do or achieve, or if they do, they'll just be sadder. They'll be sadder human beings for it. Although apparently they'll become magical podcasters or something. But as I got to thinking about it, I realized this is why I don't think I like the hacks, because they're all a little black and white. There's not much room to adapt a hack, okay? Because then it's not a hack, it's a half hack, and it probably won't do the same thing for you. So I don't know about you, but when I hear the word hack, it kind of constricts the creativity and the flow. If you're so busy hacking everything, it's harder for creativity to just show up. And it's rigid and confining rather than freeing. So I thought to myself, Emily, let's have some fun. I thought today we could unhack our content creation with some non-hacky stuff. These may or may not work for you. I want to say that up front. But these are, and some of them you've heard before. But these are helpful things I've done in my own life over the past couple of years that have improved greatly my writing, my content creation, my creativity, my podcasting. Some of them are long-term things. They're habits you have to do pretty consistently. But all of them, no matter how you decide to adapt them, they're all things that you can really color your own. You can color outside the lines. You can draw your own lines. You can make up your own colors. They don't involve protocols, rigidity, and rigorous implementation. And I was like, this sounds fun. I think it's going to be fun. I hope you agree with me. I'm, of course, biased. So that's where we're headed. And real quick, as usual, before we get into it all, in case you and I have not been properly introduced yet, hello. Welcome. I am super glad you're here. My name is Emily Aborn. I'm your podcast host as well as a content copywriter. And what I do in my everyday life, a day in the life, is that I help small businesses to unhack, to unchat GPTify their messaging and their marketing. Because what I really want to see people do is express their unique voice and their personality and bring that to life in what they're doing. I want them to unhack and step into being fully themselves. So I'm happy you're here. I hope you stay. And I also want to remind everybody, this podcast is not a one-way street, okay? I have a way you can interact with the show, either by text messaging the show. That's in the show notes. I also have a way you can leave the show a voice message, also in the show notes, which those are super fun. And additionally, I'm a human. You're a human. If you weren't a human, it'd be weird. Hello, robot. Okay, but if you do want to connect and learn more about me, you can visit the links in the show notes, fast track it, and head to my website, emilyaborn.com. Send me an email, find me on Instagram. However you like to connect, I want to connect with you. It is a two-way street, like I said. And then just for fun, as we kind of get into this, I was thinking it would be nice to share something that I'm excited about because I just worked on. So one of the projects I just wrapped up, it was really fun. What I got to do was I got to write a distinct brand voice for a flower distributor for their website copy. Now, they sell very special flowers. These are flowers you can easily grow at home. They bring brightness and color during the winter so that you feel a little bit less cranky, a little bit less sad all winter long. And the most magical part is that anyone can do it. So even if you don't have a green thumb or you are not self-acclaimed houseplant obsessed yet, these flowers make a great jumping off point because you can grow them pretty easily. And you also get that advantage of like bringing the outdoors in, being in nature. So here's the part where this kind of weaves into what we're talking about today. Bringing the outdoors in and being in nature, bringing flowers into your home, bringing plants into your home, bringing like beauty into your surroundings. That is such a great way. That is my first unhack to inspiring your creativity and sparking more content creation. So let's just start there. Unhack number 1, spend time in nature and also bring nature indoors. It probably does not surprise you that I am a girl with a pretty regular morning routine. When I first wake up, right out of bed, like I'm talking right out of bed, I take a 15 to 20 minute walk. Now, I live in a very rural place, so I do have the advantage where nature is absolutely everywhere. And what I find is that first morning light, it's not first morning, I'm not an early riser, that light, that morning light, it's always really nice to take in. It's very uplifting. It helps me to wake up, helps me to kind of get in my body and like, it's just a really nice experience. So then, of course, I take a second walk in the woods, this one with my dog, and sometimes I try to take one later in the day. Apart from all that, I'm just kind of like into swimming, hiking. We love eating outside whenever possible. I love working outside. That's like my new thing right now at the back deck patio table. And I just like being outside. So in the winter in New Hampshire, where I live, it's a little bit harder to get outside. And so you have to be a little more cognizant, a little more mindful of bringing that outdoors in. So that's another piece I love because I want nature to be like in my house too. Like I kind of want our house to be an extension of nature. So we bring in things like, I mean, this is going to sound silly, but like flowers and rocks and seashells. We have lots of plants. I love images of nature like trees and florals and water. In general, this is not my own personal opinion. This is like scientifically proven. Bringing more nature into your life is a great non-hack. It really does help you to bring more creativity into your content creation overall. And not to mention, it increases your overall happiness and joy. So here's what I want to say. If you don't live in a place with nature, perhaps you can think of a way that you could bring it inside. You could add some flowers or plants or stones or imagery to like your workspace. And if you do live in a place with nature, don't just get out there to like check a box, but really try to savor it. Listen to those birds chirping, watch the blue sky, watch the way the clouds change, the sound of the breeze through your window. I can literally hear it right now and it's amazing. And I can feel a little bit of the breeze on my skin. So enjoy it with yourself, enjoy it for yourself, and enjoy it also with friends if you can too. Like nature can be the cornerstone of your day. And I really do think it's a great way to unhack your creativity, unhack your content creation. And if you live in a place that is chilly in the winter and dark in the winter and you don't love winter, I want to give you one quick little extra bonus that I found really did help my energy and mood last winter. So my husband bought it for me for Christmas. He bought me a happy light. And it's like one of those lights, you know, if you don't know what it is, it's one of those lights that's supposed to prevent you from like coming down with seasonal affective disorder, which I don't have. But I do have winter blues. Okay, let's just call it that. So this light sits on my desk and it's really pretty. It's shaped like a little moon, which I especially love. And I used it every single day last winter. I tried to also use it every day here in the mornings, and it really did help. I also tried to be a little more mindful last winter of getting outside more. I'm not a fan of the cold, and I think I did okay last winter. So let's see if we can pull that off again this winter. But I think that it's, you know, especially in times like that where it's dark or heavy, we have to think of creative ways to unhack our creativity and our mood and our spirits. And that's just like a teeny tiny way. But I do think that it translates not just into your marketing and your content creation, but like throughout your life and how you operate your business. Like you do feel a little better, of course, when your moods and spirit are high. So the days that I feel slow and exhausted and just like, no, I don't have anything left in me. I mean, those are days where my creativity is kind of like non-existent. So in my opinion, like finding little ways to keep it up, to keep your energy and your mood up and high as possible, it is really, really important. So that's just one little idea. Unhack number 2. Unhack number 2 is to add some sort of meditation, breathing, pause, some sort of mental practice that gives your brain a break. And don't roll your eyes at meditation. There's all kinds of different ways to do this. You could do hypnosis, breath work, sound therapy, yoga nidra. You could just take a 5-second pause between meetings or calls or tasks. I've done it all. I've tried them all for the most part, and I really love it. I love a lot of these practices. Now, none of my practices they don't have me like transcending or levitating or turning into anything other than a mere mortal. But I'll tell you what they have done for me. They've given my brain a rest and a chance to calm down. And something your brain needs when you're working hard in your business, when you're working creatively, when you're doing something you don't really like doing, like maybe marketing, your brain needs a chance to slow down, to just like process, reflect, stop taking things in, right? And so these tools can kind of help. And I'm also thinking, when I've done a couple of like hypnosis journeys, and I think that also helps with other pieces like increasing your courage. So maybe you can start taking those steps to gaining more confidence. It can help reduce anxiety. It can help you sleep better. Those things that these tools help you with, they're like a whole ripple effect, right? So when we show up more at ease, our marketing and our content creation and our businesses also show up more at ease. So you get the idea. Heal the mind, heal the body, improve the business, blah, blah, blah. I'm not a doctor. This is in zero way medical advice. But I will definitely give you some recommendations of just things I've tried. I'll put them in the show notes for you. I have a hypnosis. I recommend a couple actually. And then I also use a free and paid meditation app. And I will link to a yoga nidra, which my sister-in-law did actually. And that I love as well. So I don't have any necessarily like recommendations for yoga practice. I just use YouTube for that. And I do it on Sunday mornings and I love it. It's just like a break away from work. But I think all of those things can be beneficial. They give your brain that opportunity to slow down, to do something other than work on your business and think about your business. And they really do help to boost your creativity as well. Unhack number 3, listen to, this one is going to surprise you or just be like, what? You do that? Okay, maybe not. Maybe you're like me. Maybe you're a weirdo like me. And if so, I definitely want to hear from you. But unhack number 3 is to listen to or read your work. Now, this could be anything from past interviews to old emails. And I want to give a disclaimer here because some of you do this and then you keep on listening, you keep on reading, you keep on editing, you keep on mentally picking yourself apart. This unhack is hereby declared not for you. In fact, if that is you, I would like you to step away and stop overanalyzing everything you wrote and said and sent. Like, this one's not for you. But for those who are not in that camp and who never ever listen back to your interviews or your podcast episodes or read your emails after they sent, I would like to invite you to consider an opportunity to do a little content review for yourself. Couple ideas on that are just listen to a recent episode that you've done, like a solo episode or an interview episode if you have an interview show. Listen to a recent episode that you've guested on. Listen to a couple, right? Check a couple out. Hear what you might say often or frequently. Or I just did one that I listened back on. I was like, I said the word like many, many, many times, and also the word so. And that is a little bit unlike me. So, well, now I'm going to catch myself. But so I have to really reflect on like why maybe I did that. Or if there's a way I can improve that going forward. The other one is to like read your email when your list gets it. So like I'll get my weekly email and I like to read it to just kind of see how the experience is for other people. Look back at your last 5 or 6 social media posts and be really honest with them. Like say, what are my strengths? How did I shine? Give yourself some kudos and some positive feedback and celebration. Cheer yourself on And also review it from the lens of the person on the other side. Like, how can we make it really speak more clearly to them, make it easier to understand or to take in? So, like I said, I feel like I'm a little weird in this. I feel strange confessing this to you, but I do listen to my past interviews because I think that it helps me to pull out. I think it's twofold. First of all, it helps me to pull out the pieces that I want to share if I'm doing a post about this speaking opportunity or this podcast guesting opportunity. And then secondly, it helps me to ensure that I'm always improving in how I deliver value to people. And then I'm being a really, really good collaborator to, like, I want to be showing up for other people's listeners. And then for the rest of my content, I review it and I ask myself these 3 questions. Like, what is the experience of reading this or listening to this for the person on the other side? Did I deliver? Now, all of these are going to be subjective, of course, but did I deliver on the promise of what I was sharing? Was it interesting and engaging? And could I improve it next time? Now, if you decide to venture down and use this Unhack, like I said, please be gentle with yourself. This is not about being mean to ourselves. It's actually about positive reinforcement, seeing what we absolutely love in our messaging, constantly refining your messaging, constantly pulling out pieces that you're like, ooh, I want to say this again in a different way. This was so good. I want to say this again and share it someplace else. And it is a really, really helpful practice, a really helpful tool. One of the things I even pulled out recently in an interview I said, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to use that on my website. So now, of course, I want to rewrite my entire website. But sometimes you'll hear something where you're like, that line was gold. And I really do think that it can help to improve your content creation, your whole marketing message, when you take time every now and then to stop and review your work. Okay, we're on number 4. I have 7 of these, but I'm going to fly through the last 3. You'll see. So number 4 is morning pages or free writing. Right now, I am reading and working through Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way. It is a fantastic book for unlocking your inner artist, unlocking your inner creativity, and really turning down the noise. I think of the things that get in our things that block us, the things that get in our way, like the inner critic, for example. So I'm loving the book. The only thing I wish is that I had just done it sooner. And I'm actually in week 7 right now. What I love is that there are all these ongoing activities based on each week's specific topic and theme. And then one of the ongoing activities, one of the daily things that is a constant throughout the book is called morning pages. Now, some of you may have heard of morning pages before. It's basically 3 pages of free writing first thing in the morning. So every day after my walk, I sit out on my deck, preferably if it's nice out, with a cup of coffee, and I write 3 whole college-ruled pages. I know, you're like, you are bizarre, Emily. But it is free writing, no editing, no rhyme, no reason, just writing. Sometimes I have nothing on my mind and I'm like blah-de-blah-de-blah. And sometimes this eloquent piece, the pen just takes over and this eloquent piece comes pouring out of me. Now, it's all unfiltered. It's all unedited. It is never intended for public consumption. It is a useful tool, I think, and Julia says, to help unlock this inner critic. You kind of help unlock your inner writer, your inner creator, and you stop that editing constantly from picking apart every single thing you do. For me, I also love that it's like a warm-up, right? So here's another thing I want to say. 3 pages of handwritten work is a lot. It takes me about 30 minutes every single morning. 30 minutes I'm not using my phone, 30 minutes I'm not playing Wordle, 30 minutes I'm not playing Connections or doing other things. It is a solid time commitment. And if that is not for you, if that does not work for your schedule or your routine, you can start small. And if you want to try it with the free writing, I would suggest you try mini warm-ups. And you can just kind of use a writing prompt with a timer. But the point is just to give your inner critic a break. Give it a couple moments off while you let whatever needs to percolate. And it's not for public consumption, okay? A lot of this is never going to see the light of day. It may be a springboard for something else. It may not be. It may just be kind of letting go what's in your brain, letting go of this attachment that what you create needs to have a job, needs to do something or make you money or be something. And it also helps you to let go of that kind of inner self-bashing, letting go of your thoughts, your feelings, the life garble that gets in the way of you just sitting down and creating throughout your business, throughout your life, throughout your work. I will include a link to somebody that explains the morning pages far more eloquently than I, and you can adapt it and try it for yourself with some of those smaller sort of warm-ups. But I really recommend it. I recommend creating something, doesn't even need to be morning pages, I don't know, paint a painting, but something that has no agenda, no goal right at the end of it. So that is unhack number 4. And number 5 is actually to stop reading. You're like, what? That does not make any sense, Emily. Okay. In The Artist's Way, I think it was chapter 5. I don't know. I can't remember. But part of The Artist's Way Julia recommended that you do a week of media deprivation. Now, she essentially wants you to not read books, articles, listen to news. In today's modern day and age, it would be that you don't watch TV, you don't go on social media, you don't read email newsletters, like you don't read stuff. You don't take in other things, other forms of content. You don't listen to podcasts, which don't do that. You have to keep listening. Just kidding. But so in this reading deprivation, I actually, when I first read it, I was like, no, that's stupid. I'm not doing that. I don't need that. And then because of all the resistance I felt around it, I was like, I need to try this. I need to try it. First of all, I was sad to take a week of lessening my intake of information and ideas and inspiration. Like I felt like I was going to be, it was going to be like a mourning process of letting things go that I love so much, that tether me throughout the day. So what I did was I did not read for a week, except for The Artist's Way, which, like I said, it's just like these kind of like small daily activities. I didn't set out to do like a TV detox, but the way the week ended up working out, I think I only watched TV with my husband twice. I did a social media way taper down. Like I only showed up when I absolutely had to for my business. I put all of the email newsletters I'm subscribed to, all of the articles I'm subscribed to into a folder as they came in and saved them until the end of the week. And I sliced my podcast listening like pretty much in half. I may have like really almost cut it out entirely. So I loved it. I actually really loved it. And I didn't have a lot of time that week, unfortunately, to focus on my own business, like my own content creation. It was a lot of work for clients. It was a really client heavy week, but it really did give my brain that much needed break. And the results after, like the week after that, I could just feel everything coming online so much stronger. I also unsubscribed to a lot of stuff that I'm like, oh my God, I'm not even that interested in this in the first place. Like a lot of the things we take in are just like a fear of missing out, right? And so it's important to kind of give ourselves a glimpse into what those things are. So Unhack number 5 is you could call it a reading deprivation. You could call it a social media detox. You could call it content intake deprivation, like whatever. However, again, these are all malleable in a way that works for you. Maybe you just try it with one little thing for the first time. But it was really, really an interesting experiment, and I found it to be extremely beneficial. All right, unhack number 6 is to try reading or exploring or learning something new in a new genre. Something completely unrelated to your business is preferable. So a friend of mine back in 2022, we were talking about books one time, and she said that like in her life, she doesn't read anything related to self-help or anything related to business. And I gave her a look like, what are you talking about? Like, that's all I read and listen to. So she recommended that I just try reading a couple of these fiction books. She gave me a few recommendations. They were just kind of total garbage to start, honestly. And I just had fun with it. Like, I just was like, you know what? I'm going to try this new genre that I've never, ever read before. It has nothing to do with business. Definitely has nothing even to do with my personal life. And it was awesome. It was just such a much needed break. And you know what? The past 2 years that I've been doing that, I'm not saying this is like the key to my business's growth. I'm just saying my business didn't suffer because of those things. So I don't know about you, but like I'm tired of all the self-help and productivity and personal growth. Like all of it just makes me feel really behind and like I'm doing something wrong and like there's always more that I'm missing and I'm just tired of it. So it's been really refreshing and really nice to just take a break from all of that and read fiction. Like I've enjoyed so many different genres of fiction. Like I've read Stephen King, which I had never read before. I've read romance. I've read trashy romance. I've read historical fiction. I'm just kind of in it for learning new things and getting into new experiences that have nothing to do with my business at all. My husband and I actually right now are trying by the end of the year to learn some like really fun facts about our country's history that we don't have in our heads. And it's just like a fun way to learn something new and engage the brain in a different way that has nothing to do with anything really beneficial in life, except maybe getting a few extra clues right on Jeopardy. And I've even done this a lot with my podcast too. Like right now I'm listening to History's Secret Heroes with Helena Bonham Carter. It's a BBC podcast where she shines light on extraordinary stories from World War II. And it's really just interesting. You're learning about like all these heroes that you never ever hear about. So unhack number 6 is to back away from the hacks, back away from all the hacks, and just try reading something new or learning something entirely new that has nothing to do with your business. I don't know, maybe learn a second language or something like that. So, okay, unhack number 7 is to clean house. This could be proverbially or digitally. So I'm talking like if your desktop screen is a mess, hello, I see it. If your desktop screen is a mess, clear that out. If you have 8,000 tabs open right now on your computer, close some. If you have a lot of clutter in your inbox or in your text messages or in your Google Drive or in your to-do lists or in your closet, clean house. So take some time and just throw things away. Throw things away in those digital areas that don't serve you or they're doubles or you just don't need access to anymore. I'm talking subscriptions. I'm talking files. I'm talking email newsletters you're subscribed to. Clean house. And then outside of the digital world, it might be things in your closet. So what I've recently done is started getting rid of those pieces of clothing that are like way too ratty to wear, but I for some reason keep them. And I also for some reason continue to wear them. And I'm like, this doesn't make me feel very good about myself when I'm wearing this item. And this item has, I've had it since I was 16. I think we can safely let it go. So throwing away those like ratty pieces of clothing, obviously the ones that you do not need, the ones you do not use, organizing your desk, cleaning out a junk drawer, like any of those things that just kind of help your space have some fresh light, because it really does help your brain to have like a sense of more space, more freedom, more ease, more, everything is just less distracting when you sit down to work on your stuff. So, all right, these were kind of weird, I know. And I gave you 7, and I know that was a lot. But my goal for the episode, which I hope I achieved, was really just to inspire you to maybe do some small things that make space for your creativity, for your ideas. And I don't know, it could lead you somewhere really exciting for your business or in your marketing and your content creation, or it could take you somewhere else entirely. And I don't think that any of those are the wrong answer. So I hope you have some fun trying out one of these unhacks. I definitely want to know about it. And I'm going to leave you hanging on what we're talking about next week and surprise you when I chat with you then. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Content with Character. If you loved the episode, please make sure to subscribe to the podcast, rate, review, and share it with someone else you know it could help. For more content and visibility tips, visit my blog at emilyaborn.com and be sure to connect with me on Instagram at emilyaborn. I'd love to hear how this inspired you to take action.